Hello. So today we are going to learn how to write an article. Okay. So those who have idea, it's irrelevant for them, but those who don't have any idea, it's for you. Even if you're in your project report, you have to write it like this. Suppose it's a journal and it's their template. Okay. Now we give here the title of the paper. So if you talk about the title of the paper, how to design that. For instance, if you get into mm, your project list, you can design your project title like suppose study of acoustic wave in a relativistically degenerate quantum plasma, or study of viscosity, mm, study of study of quantum diffraction effects on the propagation of electron acoustic wave, something like that. Now we are not here to discuss all those things, just to give you an idea how to make an article. So here you give the title, here you write the contributing authors names, and you see many journals have their style to give their affiliation code on top. So suppose it is one of my scholar student G. Shakar Jyotirmay Goswami. So they have put their you see affiliation. So for one it is Jadavpur University Kolkata and it's his email. So for two it's Jadavpur University again and his email, myself and Professor Ghosh. Now how to write an abstract. So from the name abstract you can see just generally abstract is written right after the author list. To show you, let me make it a bit enlarged. Okay. So you see the propagation of electron acoustic solitary waves is investigated in magnetized 2 temperature electron plasma with suprathermal ions. By using reductive perturbation technique, the Corteway-de-Vries equation is derived. Later solving this equation, what we have done, just a solitary wave solution has been derived. These are mainly in astrophysical plasmas where change of local charge density, temperature and energy of particle produce considerable effect on the plasma system. The effects of suprathermality, density and Mach number on solitary waves have been studied in detail. The results show that the suprathermal index and if an abstract will be something around from starting from 100 to 300 words, and it should have your total work in a gist. You will just write what you have done, what you have considered, and what kind of studies you have made. And it's the way you often write. If you check some of the articles, you read their abstract, you will find that the abstract is very crispy, short, and to the point. That's up to you. Now you often have to enter here some keywords. What are keywords? Well, what are keywords? Let me zoom it. Keywords are the words that should have a direct correlation with your work. For instance, in this work we have studied the KBV solitary structure. We have taken the superthermality of the particles, the Kappa distribution, magnetic. It should be Kappa distribution. Sorry, Kappa distribution. Okay. Often most of the journal ask you to give a comma. Some ask you to give a semicolon as well. So this is how 4 to 5 or max 6 keywords. Now there are certain things you call a PACS number. PACS number. Now this is for the classification of the paper. Suppose we are talking about plasma, working on plasma or astrophysics or whatever it is. You will check the internet and you will find a lot of PAC codes are available. PACS number. It stands for Physics and Astronomy Classification Scheme, and let me give you some idea on this. Okay, now just move on to the browser. Yes, move on to this browser, and we can see here, you see these are the PSC codes. It's a journal, Russian journal, physics Uzbeki, and these are the classifications. So if we get here and if we search plasma, that is something mathematical method. This is how the classifications are made. Okay, quantum mechanics, this is, yeah, you can go for plasma. If you don't find plasma, press Ctrl F, type plasma. You see quark gluon plasma, that is high energy physics. Plasma production, okay, plasma and collective effect in clusters, these are the things. Plasma dynamos, and these are plasma properties, plasma kinetic equations. So generally it is 52.00.00. These are the plasmas that you often encounter. You see 52.25, FIGJ, VY, these are the classifications. So whenever you have to write, you just take it from here, copy, paste. Okay, you see, so here we have pasted it. Just how we get to know our work packs number related to our work. So we first write the introduction. So in the introduction, we give a brief outline of the system we are considering. The already done works in the reference. Already done works in the reference. We write it. If you read the introduction, you will find that we just give credit to the previous workers in related to this present work, and put their, these are the superscripts. As you can see, these are the references that we will put at the end of the paper, and how we have included all these things. Now there are a couple of things more. You see, the end of your introduction should have the motivation of the present paper. So we have written the motivation of the present paper is to study formation and propagation of small amplitude copper, blah blah blah. So this is how you write a small paragraph on the motivation. And then the organization. The paper is organized in the following manner. In section 2, in section 1 we had the introduction. So in section 1 only we are writing. We are writing in section 1 only that the paper is organized in the following manner. In section 2, that is from the next section, we discuss the dynamical equation, blah blah. We carry out the normalization for simplicity. Section C, where we deal with the linear dispersion curve. Section 4, we study the nonlinear KdV equation using standard perturbation technique. We also call it reductive perturbation technique. So, and finally, we write that in section 5, we put the conclusion. We conclude with future scope of work and blah blah, put a full story. So, in the next section, we write the model equation. You will check some of the paper and how we have written. We have to consider these things. So, you put the equation, you put the distribution, constants that you have taken, you put the unnormalized equations first, then you say that we have normalized it with blah blah things, and these are the normalizing factors, and we get the normalized equations like this. Okay, so while writing, you see, these are, it should be written in a, so these are always two column mode. Now what's the problem is that some journal ask you for two column mode, some journals ask you for one column mode. For your understanding, I would suggest you better take it as a one. You select the whole thing just before your reference. Okay, you can consider on the reference as well. Well, this was all part of the template, so don't include it. Okay. Now go to layout, columns, one column. You see now it appears good. You can understand. So while making your first uh, manuscript, I would ask you to write in a one column method. Now you see here we have done this kind of thing. We have taken model equations, basic equations. So we have put the normalized equations, normalization scheme, and the normalized equations. Then we put the delta because there were hot electron, cold electrons, and ions. As we will find, this will be the densities. Now we use the in order to put the linear dispersion relation. Linear dispersion relation. We put the perturbation expansion, then put the normalizing factor, and then we can obtain the following linear dispersion relation. You see, it's a linear dispersion relation. Why? Because we have considered ourselves with only with this term. We have ignored this. Now, if you want to go for a nonlinear dispersion relation, you have to take this part of the series in the uh, expansion, and upon substitution you will ik, and for this when you what will happen for the second order quantities, when you put del x, then del x would become I into 2k because it is a second harmonic. If you want to put it like that in the uh, if you go for the second order harmonics, so you take that thing, or you can also take it up to, it's up to you. Okay, if you take the perturbations, if you take the linear term like this, because what I just told, it was for the uh, that is known as the Fourier method, and we are not discussing here. So you just take e to the power ik and the first term, and you get the linear dispersion relation. Once you make this, you put what are the constants that you have taken, because that's must, because whoever is reading the paper, he might miss what are the constants. Suppose you have taken it as a constant and said it is a constant, but he should also know what the constant actually contains. So you put the gamma 0, gamma 1, all these things. And for the derivation of the KdV equation, you will find you put this kind of stretching, you put this kind, and you get the first order terms, and finally after some algebraic manipulation you get the KdV equation, where nonlinear and dispersive terms are n and d, and since it was a big quantity, we just put it here. You see, we simplified it, xc xh yc yh. So xc, we have, if we included it here it would be big, so we just split it, xh yc yh. So you use the transformation for KdV solution, we just write it there. Your paper should be a complete thing. The whoever be the reader, if he is an expert on the subject, if he is not an expert on the subject, they can understand the topic. And then you include another section, results and discussion, put the graphs as you will obtain, put the captions, these are the captions, these are the graphs. Now how to put a graph? Suppose you save your file as a PDF, as a JPG, and you have this file in your, suppose I put this figure of a magnetosphere. Okay, so here I want to include a photograph. I just copy it there, got right click, paste, and you see your photograph. Now you put your cursor here, enter, and here you put your caption, figure, suppose 5 5. Okay, figure 5 5. You have the magnetosphere. Now your figure name should continue from here. This is 1, therefore it should be 2. It's not 5 5. Figure 2 like this. Therefore this should be figure 3. like this. So you put the figure, you have a short discussion, you will check some of the papers for reference, put the discussion, what happens, it is increasing, it is decreasing, whatever, those discussion, why it's happening. Finally, you put an acknowledgement, whom you are going to acknowledge, your parents, your teacher, your friend, whoever has helped you to, or even your institute who has helped you in carrying out this research. I have thanks ASIR, Jadavpur University, and my college. So, and the reference. Now, the reference, every journal has got a style of referencing. Now, here in this paper, you see, you first write the surname, then the name, full stop, comma, surname, comma, initial of the first name, full stop, comma, and the final author, colon, the final, it is the author, then page, it is not clearly written. This one, come on. It is Tarak, it is initial, it is the title of the paper, journal's name, volume of the journal, page of the journal, year. Now, in many cases, you just make the volume a bit bold, okay, and you can keep it because every journal has got, but there are certain styles you may follow it. So that's how it's done. And finally, so how to write a paper first or an research article? You first put the title, the authors, their affiliations, the abstract. The abstract should have their thing, crispy thing, the keywords, the packs number if it is required. Then you start the introduction, complete the introduction. In the later part of the introduction, you put the motivation of the work and then you organization of the paper, because every paper is like a book, you just start reading, but before your introduction should have all the informations, okay, so it should be organized in a rightful manner, and the organization of the paper should be at the end of your introduction part. Now in the next part you put your model and basic equations, you can also call it basic formulations, a lot of names are there, okay. Then you put the formulation, carry out the normalizations, you carry the dispersion relation, or suppose somebody say dispersion curve or dispersion studies, linear dispersion properties, dispersion characteristics. So you write like this, you put the perturbation expansion, you put the linearizing factor, you get the linear dispersion relation. Put any, if you have used any constant in between to shorten it down, you just refer your this thing, refer your uh, constants out here, okay. Now put the how to derive the KDV equation, whatever I have told you, just write it in short. You have used this stretching and the perturbation expansion already used, referred here, and the perturbation expansion always give a number to this, and using this stretching and the what I say, using this stretching and using the perturbation expansion equation 12, we get this first order terms, and finally we get the nonlinear KDV equation, the constants if you have substituted something. So find the solution, put this transformation, and it is, I have just given in the lecture how to find the solution because it's a standard form. You give the nonlinear and the dispersive part, you put the resultant discussion section, you put your graphs, you put your analysis, whatever you want to comment, your inference, and finally put a section on acknowledgement, whom you like to acknowledge, and the references, because references have some articles want only the surname or the full name, okay. FC Michael, suppose whatever his name is, suppose I have put a paper, let's go for Chandra S, so it's my paper, and I given the title out here, and is the name of the journal, volume number. Now you see some journals have their volume coming once a year, and every month they might be coming out with a edition, so that is called number of the volume. So some journals have 12 number in a volume, or issues, or we call it an issues, 12 issues in a volume. Some have a for half yearly, that is 2 issues a year per volume, Some have 4 issues quarterly. They have therefore 4 issues per volume. Some have fortnightly, so they will have 24 issues per volume. Some have weekly volumes. Many classical journals are there, so they will have some 52 or 53 volumes. So that's how you do. Okay, and there may be some special issues. So suppose in for this citing this paper, what I've done, Chandra S. You can some articles you can also write my full name, Ronit Chandra. Then the article's title, journal referencing. Now, in such a way, it happens that many journals, in order to save their space, do not ask for the title of the paper. No need. Name of the authors, journal, volume, number, page, year. Some people put the year first. So, name, year, journal, volume, blah blah. So, that's how you do it, and this is the way we arrange our paper. Remove this part. Okay, now always make sure that your photograph is some having some 300 dpi or is a good quality. Okay, so author profile, you can put your photograph here. Okay, and you can put your name, surname, affiliation, your email id. You can also put, some journals do it. Okay, in IEEE they have this kind of issues, so it looks good whenever you are having a paper. Hmm? Okay, thank you.